country is being plagued by an epidemic. It is one of the fastest growing diseases in the world that quickly spreads from a person to a family to a community to a country. Ironically, America is towards the top of the list of countries stricken by this epidemic. But why? It is a disease that targets the heart and mind, which leaves devastation. We are plagued by the epidemic of ingratitude. Although this is not technically a disease, it is still just as dangerous to our well-being. Let's take a moment and look at our national news. Our debt is in the trillions of dollars. The divorce rate is over 50%. The unemployment rate is around 10%. We are stricken with family problems, broken homes, illnesses, and natural catastrophes. Americans' response tends to be, if only we had more money. If only he wasn't so difficult. If only we had better health care. The list of if-onlys goes on. What are your challenges and struggles? Does your job present major stress? Has the economy devastated you? The list of hardships we face during our lifetime can lead to ingratitude, but how we choose to respond can either aggravate or alleviate our struggles. During the course of this speech, I will first expose the source of our ingratitude. Then we will look to the lives of 3 individuals who are fighting and winning against ingratitude despite major challenges. And finally, I will share with you the cure for the epidemic of ingratitude. To conquer this epidemic of ingratitude and to profoundly permeate the world, we must deliberately make a choice. We must purpose to choose a life of gratitude. So where did this epidemic originate? Best-selling author Anne Voskamp states, from all of our beginnings, we keep reliving the garden story. Satan, he wants more power, more glory. Ultimately, in its essence, Satan is an ingrate. Satan's sin becomes the first sin of all humanity, the sin of ingratitude. Adam and Eve are simply, painfully ungrateful for what God gave. Isn't that the catalyst of all my sins? Our fall life has always been and always will be that we aren't satisfied in God and what He gives. We hunger for something more, something other. I would like to share with you stories of people who have risen above immense struggles. They have chosen to live their lives with gratitude. At the age of 17, a young girl had a serious diving accident. When her sister pulled her out of the water, she realized in horror that her limbs were dangling, motionless. The dive into the lake, which she thought was deep, turned out to be shallow water. She was now tragically and permanently paralyzed. During her extensive time in the hospital, she experienced many months of severe depression and begged a good friend several times to assist her in committing suicide. However, now, Johnny Eric Satada says, and so I've been giving thanks for most of my paralyzed life, not only giving thanks in everything, but always giving thanks to God for everything. Most of us are able to thank Him for His grace, comfort, and sustaining power in a trial, but we don't thank Him for the problem, just finding Him in it. Since her accident, Johnny has learned to not only give thanks in everything, but has learned to give thanks to God for everything. When life is good, we are able to thank God. But when a trial comes, even if we are able to thank God for carrying us through a struggle, it is less common that we'd actually thank God for the trial. Johnny shares, maybe this wheelchair felt like a horrible tragedy in the beginning, but I give God thanks in my wheelchair. I'm grateful for my quadriplegia. It's the shadowy companion that walks with me daily, pulling and pushing me into the arms of my Savior, and that's where joy is. And that's a reason to be grateful. She continues to encourage people to live a life of gratitude. A 12-year-old girl sat nervously on an examination table, holding tightly to her knees. At 9, she had to quit ballet lessons because dancing caused pain, especially in her knees, and the pain wasn't worth it. But now the pain went from a couple times a week to a chronic condition. Every day, she had to take ibuprofen just to keep walking. As she sat on the examination table, the head of the orthopedic department looked at her knees and how they twisted in, and her feet and how they twisted out, and announced that she had visceral malalignment syndrome. a rare genetic disability. He had only seen one other occasion his entire career. The news that she would never be able to run, jump rope, or play sports like soccer with her friends was devastating. This girl's name is Kelly Rebecca Freed. This girl is me. I have been to countless appointments only to find out that my disability begins in my lower spine and I have little cartilage in my knees. Only through massage therapy, chiropractic care, and the grace of God am I able to walk. Have I cried bitter tears and wallowed up in self-pity? Yes. Have I felt heartache as I sat on the sidelines and watched my friends play soccer or my sister perform ballet? Absolutely. I want to know the joy of running or even going through an entire day with the feeling of having normal legs. But through this experience, I have learned to be truly grateful. Every day when I wake up, I know that I need to make a decision. A decision to let ingratitude toxify me or gratitude free me. When I choose gratitude, I never regret my choice. For Anne Boskamp, author of 1,000 Gifts, a day in November during her childhood will always burn deep within her memory. Her little sister Amy toddled into the lane and within a split second, the family's life was changed forever. Anne can still hear the scream of her mother and see the shock of her father as a truck ran over the little girl. The closing of the small casket closed the family's life. Later in life, Anne asked herself, how in the world, for the sake of my joy, do I learn to use grace to overcome my ugly and self-destructive habit of ingratitude with the saving habit of gratitude? After living a life of ingratitude, she realized that a major life transformation was necessary and wanted something visible to help her. Her idea began as dare of sorts, to see if she could write down a list of 1,000 blessings or gifts she already has. Her list was compiled of 1,000 gifts, made up of anything and everything that she was thankful for, from soap suds to ladybugs to salvation. I too have begun to write my gratitude list. So far, I have 713 items, including pine candles, waterfalls, and laughter. Anne began the change in her heart by writing her list. As Martin Luther proclaimed, if you want to change the world, pick up your pen. After listening to these stories, how can we change our country and our world and help heal it of the epidemic of ingratitude? The call to action is not to join an organization or to donate money. It is something much more profound that will change your life forever. It's a call to live a life that will impact others and make a difference, a life of gratitude. Then where do we start? First, I challenge you to begin your own list of everyday and extraordinary things for which you are thankful. Second, I encourage you to bring your struggles to the Lord, the only one who can transform a heart. As the great theologian Charles Spurgeon wrote, it is easy to sing when we can read the notes by daylight. But he is skillful who sings when there is no light to read by, who sings from the heart. Lay me upon the bed of languishing, and how shall I then hear God's high praises unless he himself give me the song? No, it is not a man's power to sing when all is adverse. Then since our Maker gives songs in the night, let us wait upon him for the music. Third, recognize that it is time for each of us to take action. What are the areas in our lives that cause us to have ingratitude? What targets your heart and mind and leaves devastation? What causes the most struggle or difficulty in your life? No matter what we face, I wish to challenge you to live a life of gratitude, to persuade you to engrave gratefulness in the core of your existence, your heart. In closing, ingratitude is a fast-moving epidemic that is rapidly destroying our world. We have seen that the root of this disease comes from our sin, but gratitude is also contagious. The testimonies I share today are a testament to this. And best of all, we now know the cure. To conquer this epidemic of ingratitude and to profoundly permeate the world, we must deliberately make a choice. We must purpose to choose a life of gratitude. prayerfully evaluate your life and start your gratitude list today. By choosing gratitude, you can have a profound influence on your family, community, and the country. You can change the world.